And we're back. Oh, if you only knew what went on behind the scenes. Big shout out to Nick Medina. Thanks so much for being a part of what we do here at the Lakers Fast Break. It is, once again, the Lakers Fast Break podcast. We truly appreciate you being part of what we do here. And if you can, give us that 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Plus, if you could like, share, subscribe, drinking the beer right there. All right, and do whatever it is that you can to support us right here at the Lakers
Drinking
Fast
helps.
Break. Yeah, drinking helps indeed. In fact, I might need a drink here tonight after what's gone on. Share, subscribe, follow, or do whatever it is that you can to support us right here at the Lakers Fast Break. Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, Game Source. Of course, the great folks at LakersBall.com. Go ahead and join my second Gerald Glassford because he's logging in control today. It is actually Ox1947, Joe Soro. You can find him at LakersBall.com. Also, as well as, of course, if you need your lawn transformed into something much more magical than it is today, go ahead and join Simblades. Check out Simblades with a Y.com. Our good friends at Lakerholics.com. Go ahead and check out Laker Tom and Jamie Sweet when they're there arguing with each other or going ahead and providing great conversation for the fans right out there for you at Lakerholics.com. Our good friends at Hoop Heads Podcast Network. And if you can support off that, plus, I don't know if I should say this after what went on, but be a part of our playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. You never know what you're going to hear. You never know what you're going to see at Lakers Fast Break on playback.tv. Sean has no idea what I mean by that. I'll just keep it right there and we'll go ahead until I'm off air. But if you can, please go ahead and check us out, playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. If you can do all that, plus go ahead and like, share, subscribe. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. Subscribe to us like Courtside Lakers on Instagram. Subscribe to us all over the place. And check out the latest short involving Mr. Sean Grice today, right there for you on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram as well. Well, the Lakers coming off that highway train robbery in Boston head into New York for a back-to-back, and the Lakers without LeBron and AD. It's one of those things. They're so mad, like we saw from Paul George on the Clippers the other week. So mad about what happened. Absolutely so mad. In fact, just fired up LeBron and AD complaining about the refs. So fired up about what's going on. And they're so fired up, they decided to miss the game with some ankle soreness and things of that nature once again, and load management strikes again for the Lakers. And as what Sean described in playback, a scheduled loss for the Lakers. So we thought, because they looked awful in the first half with a 16-0 run, getting out to a 19-point lead for the Nets. But the Lakers came back strong in the third quarter, their best third quarter of the year, probably by most standards. They came back and actually took a lead for a good part of the third quarter, unfortunately could not hold it. And then in the fourth quarter, self-destructed like we've seen them do so many times before. It looked ugly and it really didn't get any better. And the Lakers, unfortunately, lose as the Brooklyn Nets pull away 121-104, getting outscored 36-22 in the fourth quarter. And here today to take over for me on today's show, good man indeed. You got to go ahead and check them out as part of the LakersBall.com community. Is your new name Big Stick McGee?
Oh, I didn't see it pop up.
It is Joe Soro. And Joe, before I head on out, I wanted to go ahead and mention to everyone out there, don't forget playback.tv tomorrow. And of course, the Knicks in MSG with LeBron and AD. I'm assuming that they're going to be healthy enough to play in that game. They certainly weren't for this game. And Joe, that's all that mattered. And that's what the difference was right there in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's a tale of random quarters. They were stinky in the first, good in the second, really good in the third, stinky again in the fourth. I watched the majority of this game on the road in traffic, like Sean is in Toronto, except I was in Southern California. I thought there was a shot where they could steal one here without the big guns, But then Russell Westbrook decided to start playing like Russell Westbrook and pretty much took us down to and they stopped rebounding where it mattered. I didn't really have any feeling about this game before, and I had a little bit of a feeling during the game when they were up 7, and then after that it got dashed pretty quickly, and it's a depression. It's a depressing night basketball wise. It's a depressing everything at this point with the Lakers. The moment you think you can get on with your basketball life, we found out yesterday that LeBron and AD weren't playing. I'm still trying to figure out why AD didn't play. If we had AD tonight, I think we win the game. But that's just,
Well, actually, Joe, there was a Kyle Goon tweet that said that before the game, Darvin Ham said that LeBron has the staff has significant worry about his foot, and AD's time off was a medical staff decision prior to LeBron's issue.
So we're at a precipice here. We're at the precipice, as they say. We are now looking at a team that is really not healthy. And I say team as you only have 2 legitimate starters on this roster, 2 legitimate starters that would start on any team in the NBA that are now likely never going to be 100% this year. And that pretty much probably seals the deal on anything going on between now and February 9th. Less a deal that Rob will actually win, because Rob hasn't won diddly poo in any trade. He traded 3 second-round picks for Rui, and Rui is not really – he's pretty pooey, in my opinion.
Rui isn't a starter, that's for sure.
Yeah, but he lacks a lot of basic fundamentals. I will hold myself to what I said before when I first heard about this trade. The first thought in my head was who, and now it's Rui, and it looks poo-y, and that's what it is, guys. For those who are checking in late, the Lakers go down in Brooklyn, which, by the way, is one of the nicest arenas to go to in the NBA. I was there in 2015. At the same time, I went to both New York games that weekend. I was there for a film festival that I had helped produce that was at a showcase. And my wife was with me at the time, and we went and saw the Brooklyn game. And then my wife had to fly back for work. And then I had to scalp Knicks tickets for the Lakers. And I'm proud to say that I saw Kobe Bryant for the last time in Madison Square Garden. And this was before he announced his retirement. So I was very lucky that I did go when I did, because had he announced it before I went, I probably wouldn't have had a chance to get a ticket at that point. So with that, the Lakers go down 121-104. And again, if you didn't watch the game, it was a battle of terrible to good, terrible to good. Unfortunately, the Lakers were terrible at the end. I believe they were outscored in the fourth quarter. It's just like anything else, Sean. They make one good play and they make one bad play to even it out, right? So they scored 36 points in the third quarter to, take the momentum out right away. And then they give back 36 points in the fourth and end up really kind of getting blown out towards the end there.
Yeah, Joe, it was, it's interesting. thinking about what this game there was an image that this game could give Lakers fans. I think I came up with one. Since me and Gerald are both basically huge South Park fans, one word came to mind when we gave up that 7-point lead, and it was Rochambeau.
Yeah, he could not be stopped. And I'm sitting here watching the game going, this guy didn't play basically the whole game, and all of a sudden now he looks like Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah, we were making them look like the Harlem Globetrotters, and we were the Washington Generals for about 35 minutes of this game. Yeah, we played a good 20 minutes, but oh my God, like, honestly. And, we can't concede losses this late in the season just flippantly. It's inexcusable. You can't do it. Even if you made the argument that, well, Sean, it's it's a front end of a back to back, and they're both playing Eastern Conference teams. Yada yada yada. Every game matters at this point. It doesn't matter whether it's in the East or the West. We are 5 games under 500, and every game matters. It doesn't matter whether it's in the East or the West. To me, they all have the same significance, especially when we've dropped so many games against teams we're trying to get ahead of and climb. And, like I said, Joe, you're confused about it, so am I. And the role, like Thomas Bryant played really hard tonight. Like, I feel bad for him tonight. He played really, really hard, and he really wanted to win the game.
Well, Thomas is good for a Thomas Bryant game once a week. He can't do it 3 times a week, but he can do it that one time a week. And I thought there was something brewing with Westbrook and Wenyen Gabriel. I mean, there was a moment there where you scored 9 straight points.
Yes.
And then not too long after that, you started seeing Russell Westbrook start making, I mean, that inbounds pass that just, I'm in my car and I'm watching the game and I'm going, what are you? Where is the mechanism in here? And all it takes, especially now in the NBA, is 1 bad play, 2 bad plays in a row. He's good at doing 4 bad plays in a row. And you're going to You saw what happens when 2 steps forward, 1 step back happens. And a lot of times it's just 1 step forward, 1 step back. A lot of times it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back. It's a freaking line dance. The Lakers should be called the Los Angeles Line Dancers. Okay, I just made that up. It just came to my head. And I'm not a country music fan, and I've never line danced. I've seen it happen. I've seen it be performed, and that's what they do, right? They dance in lines. And I don't know what else. And this the irritation of watching Patrick Beverley exist is it's gotten enough. I don't want to look at him. I had a hard enough time watching him the 3, maybe 4 times a year that I would see him. Okay. I don't want to see Patrick Beverley every day. I don't.
As a Laker fan, I also want to agree with my fellow friend here and say, I don't want another 31 games of Pat Bev. I've seen enough. Enough's enough.
We've seen enough, and it didn't help that Schroeder went 2-15. I was very surprised that he couldn't make a shot to save his life. Troy Brown Jr. had 17 rebounds tonight, but it's it felt like it was for nothing. You got a guy that you got Lonnie Walker, who played 22 minutes and had a negative 25, a minus 25. Plus minus 25. We do not have any starters other than AD and LeBron in this game. And when I found out yesterday that they weren't going to play, my initial thought was we were going to lose. and then they did give me a little hope during the second and third quarter, but they can't. Then these guys are not equipped to play 48 minutes a game and be consistent game in and game out. Darvin Ham struggles with rotations. He struggles with controlling the tempo and controlling the emotions of the team.
Sorry to interrupt you, Joe, but me and Gerald were talking on playback about how, I think it's a fair criticism to say that he tends to overanalyze what he's seeing and not stay in focus on what actually is going on. He's paying too much around to the scenery and not what's actually going on around him at times. Not understanding when you guys are fatigued. Like when the Lakers were up 60-58, when they missed that shot, Ham should immediately taken the timeout, right? But he didn't. And the Nets went on a 7-0 run there, and that's when he took the timeout. And not figuring out, Doncic has 5 fouls. Brown has 5 fouls. Let's go at them. I mean, for God's sakes, Brown had 21 points on 5 fouls on Saturday night. That's inexcusable.
Again, the Lakers drop another one, 121-104 against the Brooklyn Nets. Zangerstein, I'm sorry, it's been taking a minute here to get to you. You've been posting some really good information here. So why was Lonnie Walker the 4 on a 4-guard rotation? I think a lot of the reasons why Darvin Ham plays the guard-heavy lineups is because most of the lineups that they're playing against are shooting-type players. Shooting-type players, meaning all these guys are doing is staying behind the three-point line. And then they'll do their slashing here and there. So you can't put Wenyen, you can't put Thomas Bryant. Definitely can't put Thomas Bryant. Can't obviously bring in Damon Jones to play any of these positions. You're not equipped to have a big lineup, really, unless AD is playing, because he has the ability to clean up some things. So then at that point, if you do want to send some of the guys out there that are not maybe vertical, that are, let's say, horizontally challenged, you at least have some backup with AD in the back. The Lakers don't have a margin of error even when AD and LeBron are playing.
Yeah, it's only
that the team does not have one guy other than AD and LeBron that can take over a game or consistently play a certain way of basketball night in, night out. That's how you judge a starter and how you judge a non-starter. Now, I'm not saying just because you're a starter, you're going to be a star. No. But within a team concept, let's say someone like Caldwell Pope or Kyle Kuzma or Caruso. I'm going to use those guys because that's recent guys that have played in those type of positions that were starters. The reason why those guys are the type of players that would work is because they at least did one thing consistently week in and week out. Kuzma, we wanted him to be Rashard Lewis. At least that's what I always said. He had the build of Rashard Lewis, but he can't shoot really consistently. But he got really good at defense. KCP, not really always going to make the shot, but he always played defense. Caruso wasn't a sniper, wasn't a guy that's going to hit a mid-range, but he was consistent on defense. You get where I'm going, guys? You get what was consistent? Their defense was consistent. Game in, game out. You never really saw them get manhandled in that department. We don't have anybody there.
Yeah, no, Joe. So I just posted something for everybody just to take a look at. And if you look at right now, our current record, as we sit 13th in the West, is 23-28. We have an 8.8% playoff probability. Less than 10% chance to make the playoffs.
Well,
just based on the numbers, So it's been a funky year. It's been a topsy-turvy year in the Western Conference. That's partially why we've been able to basically hang on and why the fan base hasn't completely hit the eject button on the season yet. but they're running out of runway again. Me and Gerald talked about this last year. It's just when you run out of runway, man, you know what happens to that plane. Can't take off, no matter how hard it tries. Just the physics aren't possible.
We're 11 days away from kind of putting some things officially down on paper. If the Lakers are likely not going to make a move, at least not a significant move. Rob does not know how to win a trade, and he can't even out a trade. I don't know what decisions need to be made after February 9th other than hoping that LeBron and AD taking a game off every week is going to eventually benefit them towards the end of the year, which is what it sounds like they're trying to do. They're hoping, they're probably looking at the standings and saying, you know what, we're only a couple games behind the play-in. Let's just get there when it matters. Maybe we'll ramp it up the last 2 weeks, which is a terrible, absolute terrible mindset to have. I would prefer, if your body can make it, it makes it. If you run and you don't make it, you're screwed either way, okay? You might as well give it a shot and see if you can hope your body will last. And if your body can't last, then there needs to be some serious discussion about your pay. If you guys are going to continue to take $40 million a year, then you guys need to be available, but that culture in the NBA just doesn't seem to want to connect with that. So that's a discussion for another time. I know we've talked about that ad nauseum. At this point, I don't know what to expect tomorrow other than maybe LeBron trying to play a little extra because he's playing in Madison Square Garden, which to me has been about as insignificant a aura in years. Who gives a crap? The Knicks suck. They've sucked for practically 30 years. Other than a few,
it's a building that's at this point in time, and it is the best building to watch an amazing basketball game in. It is the Mecca, but a lot of that Mecca has now been mystique rather than in the moment.
Agreed, and I think AD needs to evaluate what he really wants to do this year, and if he continues to want to just do what he's been doing, because I was more irritated the fact that he wasn't playing. A lot of the reasons why in Boston we couldn't probably pull away, if you take away the fact that we got bent over in that game, is the fact that he didn't have enough energy to do a couple of AD things to probably close that game. This stuff is just, it's a repeat. It's a broken record. You had 2 months off. Why did you need another day off? If you need another day off after you're off 2 months, then you should just go home. Just stay home. Stop playing this year then. Get ready for next year at that point, because what's the difference? What's the difference if you stop now versus in 2 months? Well, maybe you might stay healthy for next year. Likely not. But none of this stuff makes sense, and it's just it's an energy zapper, and I don't know whether to be happy or sad or anything. This is probably one of the more bipolar seasons I've ever witnessed. I'm becoming bipolar because of it, and I'm not even clinically sick of anything in my life. I don't have anxiety issues. I don't have stresses in my life other than basic stress that helps work and helps, things like that. Like, I don't get stressed about stuff. I don't have that kind of thing. So what is it now? Well, the Lakers are turning me into some kind of case where I need to go talk to a shrink. What's going on here? Tell me, Sean. Help me here.
Yeah, you know what, Joe? I think what we're going through here is a little bit of what do you call that? Split personality. Is that in one aspect we want to separate ourselves from watching this Armageddon, but we can't look away either.
Both good movies, by the way. I mean, Armageddon was kind of cheesy, but
But it
perfect
was
Hollywood
good.
movie, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it feels like yeah, like this team has this. It's almost like it's very similar ingredients to different recipes on the same like bowl of shit.
Oh boy.
That's what it.
I,
That's what it is, though.
so we
That's
need to we need to figure out something here. We need to figure out, is there a purpose in this? Is there a purpose in our life? Audience, Z, Eduardo, Gary, uh, Blue, tell us what it is that keeps you coming back. I hope it's our dialogue and our entertainment, because that's all. I really honestly, Sean, and I've been watching Laker games religiously for a very long time. When I moved to Southern California and was able to watch them on regional channels instead of just national channels,
Mhm.
I've been watching the Lakers or listening on the radio. It's in some capacity in those two mediums for 25 years and more than that. And I'm struggling, man. I'm struggling watching mediocrity, and it's choice mediocrity. If they were, if Russell Westbrook was playing not like Russell Westbrook, it would be a little easier to deal with. But it's hard. It's hard to watch what will be a first ballot Hall of Famer who's really not finished. Like, he's not finished. He's physically able, but he's such a mental midget.
You know what this? You know
It
what,
just
Joe?
doesn't make you enthusiastic to watch the games.
This is Joe. This is Russell Westbrook's dog day afternoon, man. This is his burnout. This is it happening. It's happening slowly, but this is his dog day afternoon. Eventually, that
Another good movie, by the way.
Oh my gosh, not talked about enough, in my opinion. But I digress. Anyway, yeah, he's been so hard done by his whole career. Like, he's played with that chip on his shoulder. And look, man, I kind of have a chip on my shoulder myself personally, so I respect that in another individual, because it does it builds character. It creates an intensity to either want to better yourself or better your situation or better your family's situation. I've found that it's worked for me, and I've seen it's worked for other people, so I understand that mentality. But eventually, if you don't, you know what, Joe, you gotta humble yourself sometimes, or understand before you understand to become humbled. Life will humble you. One or the other happens. Usually,
Life.
what you hope is, as a wise person, you understand where you effed up, and you understand that it just comes back to bite you if you don't humble yourself.
I will get to that in a second, but I want to give Z another shout out. Z, you used the word volatile. That's a great word to describe the LA Lakers, because what is volatile in today's society? And I'm going to use this example, and you guys will totally agree. For those of you who invest in crypto, that's a volatile world, right? I feel like the Lakers are the crypto of the NBA right now. They are so it's like they go down, and then they go up a little bit, then it's down and they go up. It's just a constant fall with a little bit of up and then constant fall. So that is the best example I can think of who they are. And there's really nothing anyone is doing about it. And I think that's probably why I believe you. Yeah, I think so, Z. I think it's even riskier. What's interesting is you get humbled only enough before you got to start looking in the mirror and going, dude, am I not preparing myself better? Am I not training better? Am I not learning better? Am I not reading enough better? Am I not executing the job or whatever relationship you're in better? At some point in your life, you need to start understanding that there are certain things you need to either fix, adjust, or throw out.
Because I'm not good enough, or I was really, really awful at my job the other day, and my boss told me I was awful, and I told him to go to hell, and he told me to go home, and now I'm thinking that he was right. Like stuff like that, it's little stuff that helps you along the way, and it makes you a better person.
I think what makes you a better person is it's as about as subjective as anything else that you would judge something that a person does on. I always use the same example. I'm probably the devil when you go to an Amish community, right? But in my neighborhood, they love me here, right? So, or a strict Catholic. I grew up. I'm Catholic, so a strict Catholic. I've had discussions with those who are very Catholic, and they'll giggle when I tell them, "Hey, man, I go to church only during the holidays," and they're like, you can tell they're like, So the humbleness. I think the Lakers have humbled themselves to the point of, or been humbled. Let's say, Rob, Jeannie have been humbled enough to say, Jesus, all right, we're humbled. Now we got to do something about this because we can't handle it anymore. It's 2023. It seems like they're thinking about 2027 and 2029 a lot. And at this point, you're not realizing you have one of the all-time greats, as in there's probably only 4 other guys that are better than him. That's it. You could put that in the bank. There are only 4 guys that you can argue that are better than him that's ever laced up the shoes. And then you have a guy, soft, but he's still there. Maybe just put something together here so that you can let this guy play 60 games a year and still let him benefit this. But we don't have those. We don't have those kind of decision makers. We don't have those people that can create that. And I think that's the part where I think as a Laker fan, we've been humbled that we just don't have the right people calling the shots.
Well, I saw something today that was kind of very, very illustrative of kind of who Russell Westbrook is in 2023. He was walking up to I believe it was the arena, and a little girl had a Lakers jersey with his name, number on it, had a Sharpie, asked him for an autograph, didn't even look at her, and walked through the door.
I'm sure that when you're famous, as long as Russell Westbrook has been, those moments probably happen to a lot where you just don't want to sign anything or whatever. But because it's Russell Westbrook and he is enigmatic, and he bothers you. He bothers me in terms of basketball. His attitude in general. I mean, so Z just mentioned.
Joe, I normally agree with you if that was an adult or perhaps maybe an adolescent, young adult, but a little kid. You could take 10 seconds out of your day to do that for a little kid. I think that's just it goes to how someone perceives their time is more valuable than other people's, which is wrong. Your time is not more valuable than mine. Westbrook's time isn't more valuable than yours or mine or anybody else's on here. And it also goes to humanity. because humanity goes both ways. So, I mean, she was very respectful and polite, and just to ignore somebody like, if it was just somebody like me or you, I would understand. But for a little kid, that's there are rules to this game. You try not to ignore little kids and old ladies.
It's a tough one. You make a great point, and it adds to the Westbrook personality. And this is just something we have to endure here probably for the next 3 months.
Yeah.
Next 3 months, because I'm not assuming anything's going to happen here in the next 11 days. It's just something we have to just hang in there and deal with, which is a depressing part in itself too. The Lakers are likely going to let a $47 million contract expire with nothing in return, which means they're probably losing about $14 million off that, depending on who they sign at the end of the year as well. It's a bad spot. It's a bad spot, and I think at this point we're probably going to be mentioning it every show or every other show until the season's over. And tonight the Lakers lost their 16th game, I believe, on the road already, and lost 121-104 to Brooklyn. Looking at Rui Hachimura's line, it wasn't bad. Did score 16 points. Thomas Bryant led the team with 18 and 9 rebounds. Westbrook flirted with a triple-double, but that's another thing where if you're looking at 39% shooting on a night, if you just shot 45%, probably win the game.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as numbers wise, the numbers made sense here on why they lost. They were 62% from the free throw line. They had 37 free throw attempts. Okay, 37. That is 18 more free throws in their building, in Brooklyn's building, and you still couldn't win. And it wasn't bad calls either. It was a lot of aggressiveness, a lot of legit. Like, the refs had actually a good night tonight, but it's not. It's just bad. They're a bad team. They're a bad team when they're bad. They're good when they're good, but they're never good for 48 minutes. And we have to just sit here and stew in it and hope that we can entertain the crowd enough to where we can continue riding this until things change.
So a fan tonight in Brooklyn attended tonight's game and then left. But before he left a poster on his seat. And the poster was regarding Kevin Durant, Ben Simmons, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, who all missed tonight's game. That's 4 of the premier players in the NBA who decided, for whatever reason, KD's legitimately injured, but the other 3 decided, yeah, we're going to take the night off.
So let's talk about that, guys.
So the kids poster had a picture of all 4 of them that said load management equals ripoff. Shorten the season.
Well, if you shorten the season, you're rewarding
72 games. I think that's reasonable.
I would not. Matter of fact, I would add 2 more games to the schedule.
Okay.
So that you can have every team play each other 4 times. I believe you can do that with a 30 team league. I have to confirm that 100%. I don't know that exactly, but I've been pushing for a more regional schedule.
I think they could do that by year. I really like that. You play the Southwest, not just once. You play them twice a year in the East, and maybe you don't play the Atlantic Division that whole year.
I would love to see that poster. Is there a visual of it online? I want that poster on my wallpaper.
I could
That
throw it
is
together, I
now.
think.
This is a beautiful thing, and this is, folks. This is why I love Sean Grice. Okay, Sean Grice gets it. Sean Grice has a delivery that's engaging. This is the kind of stuff I like to watch. It's like I like to hear. This is proof for those of you who are listening that we are not the only ones. There is something brewing here, and we need to continue to feed this fire. These guys are making 40 and 50, and some will be making 60 million a year, and they're not showing up. KD is legitimately injured. I understand that. Where was Ben Simmons? Where was Anthony Davis? I'll give a little bit of leniency to LeBron. 20th year, even though it's still a B move on my part. I'm stretching it there. I'm kind of being a hypocrite, but I'm giving him a little bit of an opening. Where is Ben Simmons? Is he playing Call of Duty at home while making 35, 40 million a year? Where is AD? AD, you had 2 months off. 2 months. That's 1/3 of the year. That's 1/3 of the regular season. Why are you taking days off 2 games in? It's unacceptable. I want that poster, and I want to start promoting that thing everywhere we go. And I want Ben Simmons to be the poster boy of, I got to say the right word, irrelevancy. You're an irrelevant star. Irrelevant. And I want you to know this. And don't hide behind some fake mental lapse or whatever. Am I being insensitive in those cases? Of course, somebody's going to interpret that. But it's an injustice to those who actually do have that problem. Okay? You're mentally not focused enough to not come play for an entire year because of your back. You barely show up the next year. Okay? And as soon as you start to stink after you kind of played well the first couple months, all of a sudden now you don't want to play anymore because now the pressure's on you again. The New York media is on you going, hey, Ben Simmons sucks. Oh, now he's going to retreat back into his turtle shell, right? However, he wasn't mentally hurt. I'm going to use that word. I don't want to use any other word but that. Mentally hurt to make a grievance to go get his $20 million when he didn't play last year. He had enough mental fortitude, mental capacity to go get money that he didn't freaking earn.
He had to get up, shower, get dressed, go to a lawyer's office. Does that sound like somebody who's troubled?
This could go into another direction, but I'm going to keep it at sports.
Yes.
You guys, I love.
Anyway, the point is, ladies and gentlemen, after all this man just said that, after all this man just said, he would still trade Russell Westbrook for that problem and a first-round pick, believe it or not, because that's what we're dealing with in this situation.
I would trade Ben Simmons. I would trade Russell Westbrook for Ben Simmons and a first to us, and then sit Ben Simmons on the bench and let him play like a 8 or 9 player, because that's what he is. To me, he's an 8-9 player at this point. You get that first round pick.
Make it $35 million.
You're talking about an unprotected first round pick. We need those, right? So that we can maybe we can then go do something. So to me, I'm looking at it from we're already dealing with Russell Westbrook. To me, Russell Westbrook may not be a mental midget like this guy, because they're both mental midgets, but this is a different kind of mental issue. This is a quitter's mental issue. Westbrook is not a quitter. He's just a buffoon. He's a buffoon when it matters. So now I'd rather change this guy who doesn't even want to show up. Cool. Go play Super Mario Brothers. Go do that for a living. Okay, or go just buy him out at that point, which is dumb. I wouldn't do that either. But it's gotten to the point where there's not enough pressure on these guys. No one is saying anything of any significance in the league. No one. Okay, no one is saying anything. Adam Silver has been scared stiff for some weird reason this last couple of years to do anything with any authority. He needs to get out of this. He needs to get out of it now. Okay? Go tell Michelle Roberts. Go tell her while you're having your dinners every couple of weeks on Park Avenue and go, Michelle, you start telling your people they need to be available because the next CBA is coming. You want guaranteed contracts? Your boys better start playing. And if they're not going to play, I am going to be talking about non-guaranteed contracts.
Well, here's the thing, Joe. So the last time the NBA re-upped with the TV networks, it was a $2 billion deal. And that contract expires in 2024, 2025. So you're looking at possibly a CBA interruption. Possibly. Then you're looking at maybe a hardline negotiation, or maybe not, because I mean, it just seems like money's flowing like wine these days with TV contracts. So who knows? But then you got a hardline contract with these TV networks. He's got a lot of fingers and a lot of pies.
We've had this talk before. It doesn't sound like it's going to matter. The end game here is we're watching, even through this crap show. And we're going to continue to watch because we have a show to produce, a show that people want to watch and listen to, and a show that I'm sure we all enjoy doing. That's how I know they got us by the short and curlies. It's just there's no other way to look at it. So we could sit here and yap for the next 2 years until that deal is done. The end of the day is they know we're watching. As long as we're watching, it doesn't matter how much we complain. Okay, it doesn't really matter. It's going to have to probably come down to the certain players just saying, I'm tired of hearing this all the time or something like that. I don't know. There has to be people not showing up. It has to be that way. I don't know how. I don't know how that could take place. I haven't been to a Laker game in 3 years. I've never had that drought ever in my life up until 3 years ago.
Joe, when's the last Laker game you went to?
I can't even remember. I think it was 2019. It was 2019. And it's sad because I used to love, it was one of those exciting parts. It was the only time, other than going to Universal Studios, that I loved coming into LA. I would be driving the 60 from the Inland Empire here in Southern California. You'd get into that 60, and then all of a sudden it turns into the 10. The 10 is not too far along to Figueroa and basically 2 miles from Staples off the exit. Once you got there, it was like you found parking, and then you're ready to go, and you saw Staples Center and everything, and you're ready to go watch the game, and you're excited after they won, and it was an event, man. It used to be an event. Now it's a morgue. It's a morgue. That whole city is a morgue of just destitute and just slop.
Seems like it's just the media portray, and again, we're digressing here, but the media portrays it as very wealthy and very homeless.
Well, it's just like most badly run countries. You either have the elite or the non-elite. So the Lakers have taken on the image of their town. They've taken on the image. There is no middle. There is a LeBron and AD, and then there's trash. Not as people. No one on the Lakers team are trashy people. But I want to make this very clear. I'm sure I've heard Russell Westbrook's a great family man. Kudos to you, even though that shouldn't be something you celebrate. That's something you're supposed to do. But I'm sure he's a good man outside the court. I'm sure all these men are great outside the court, even Patrick Beverley. I'm talking basketball because I don't get into personal stuff. I don't care what these guys do off the court. I'm watching basketball. I care about what they do on the court, okay? And stuff that revolves around the court, like not smiling after you just lost to the Celtics in the locker room, Russell Westbrook. So it's it's just not. Everything has been zapped. I think that's the only word that kind of came to mind when I was talking about this earlier today. I go, everything's zapped. There's no enthusiasm, anything involving the Lakers anymore, and that aura that it used to have. It's a dead town with a dead team and dead management. And you have a couple of stars there that are not dead, but they're not alive either, really. They're not always alive.
It's fluttering. That's what it is. It's a fluttering. It's fluttering superstars.
So the Lakers fall to the Brooklyn Nets, 121-104. Game high, Thomas Bryant with 18 and 9 rebounds.
Shout out to the Beastie Boys. No sleep till Brooklyn. I just don't want to play that song today.
Oh, man. I used to play that song all the time growing up.
It's a great song.
I can't get my eye off this Lonnie Walker stat of minus 25.
Yeah, he's look. Here's the deal. He Gerald pointed this out during our conversation. He should be involved in any deal that we make. Any deal that you make has to involve him because he's better on another team than he is with us. Another team could use his scoring. His defense is terrible, but if you're a fledgling Eastern Conference playoff team, you probably don't care about his defense as much as his offense. So I think any trade the Lakers make moving forward has to involve Lonnie Walker. What do you think, Joe?
Well, you have to because you're not likely going to re-sign him. So he's got $6 million there that you can use, package with Patrick Beverley, almost $20 million. When you look at Russell Westbrook, Lonnie Walker, and Pat Bev, you're talking $66 million that you can get back and keep at the very least after this year. And should you need an asset, you have it. But that's going to mean repeater tax, which means we're playing this game with no legs and no arms. Because you don't want to sign anyone long-term after this year. You don't want to trade Russell Westbrook, which means you're going to lose most of that $47 million. You're not going to trade anything with your packaging without an elite player. What are you going to do? What then are you going to do? If you do nothing, it's equally as bad as doing something. You might as well do something. It doesn't work. At this point, the NBA, if it cares about the product, which I don't even know if people give a crap like we do, and even again, I'm going to say it again, we give a crap, but we still not doing anything about it. The only way this can be fixed is if millions and millions of people like us stop watching. We turned it into the NHL in the 2000s. That's when things would change. That's it. But we're stuck here. I always said, the Steelers, when the rules of the NFL got so heavy, I mean, those quarterback late hits that are not late hits or roughing the passer calls, it is exhausting to watch a guy roll the quarterback into a sack and still get called for that and not absolutely go nuts. I gotta give props to Coach Daboll, the New York Giants. He is the only coach that I have seen this year that has actually blew a gasket more than once. Because if I was coaching, I would be. I mean, it would be all over the ref. Seriously, really, what do you want me to? What Patrick Mahomes last night? They were running to get him to stop, and it's how do you stop your momentum? Are you just going to stop? If you stop, he's going to run for more yards. It's just
anyway. Joe.
Yeah,
so look, tomorrow we got the Knicks, and I was telling Gerald it. Just because they sat out tonight doesn't pretend to mean anything tomorrow night. The Knicks are a quality team. It's not like you're gonna walk into Madison Square Garden and think you're gonna punk the Knicks. That shouldn't be the attitude. And if it is, I think it'll come back and bite them in the ass. LeBron may go off for 40, 45 tomorrow, but it won't matter unless we get a W. We need to stack wins. It's called stacking wins. It's 4 wins in a row. Then maybe you lose 2. Then you win 5 of 6. And then you win 3 in a row after that. That's what they need to start doing. If they don't start doing that, Joe, within the next 12 games, it's over. It's over. So
you tell him, Sean. You tell him.
To me, the next 12 games are pivotal. You need to win at least 9 of them. You need to go 9-3 over this next 12.
Unfortunately, I don't see the Lakers committing week in and week out the rest of the way.
Because at that point in time, right now we're 23 and 28, so that's 51 games. At that point in time, it'll be 63 games. You basically have 20 left. If you're still 5.5, 6 games out, and you're still in 13th place, it's over. It's over.
I think it's starting to get close, and it's going to be after the deadline. If the Lakers don't improve this team,
they need to.
After February 9th, it doesn't matter what prognostications we put together to say this is what we need to do to win. It's not going to happen because they're not mentally. I mean, LeBron is there when he's there, but there's no one really backing him up. And he has to just kind of to keep the morale going. He has to kind of scale back, and he can't ruffle the feathers. He can't go on TV. He doesn't have that personality to go on TV and say, well, Anthony Davis needs to be playing tonight. Kobe Bryant would have done it. Michael Jordan would have done it. But that's a different era, different time. People then basically took it. Nowadays, no one takes jack crap. And this isn't, the NBA has always had prima donnas. It's always had guys that were sensitive to things. But the difference between now and then is they dealt with it. They dealt with management being jerks to them. Scottie Pippen being one. Scottie Pippen was belligerent with management, but he still was there, right? If it was in any other era ahead of it, Scottie Pippen would have been traded, right? Heck, I remember Hakeem Olajuwon.
He almost was.
Right,
he was
but the reason
traded for Sean Kemp,
and the reason why he wasn't was because Michael Jordan.
Oh my God, Sean Kemp and Michael Jordan. Good night.
I don't know if that might have worked between 90. Well, that would have worked with anybody. Actually, it doesn't really matter. But it's not. It doesn't look good. I'm starting to feel like that game that we had against Atlanta in Atlanta last year was
Boyan's not going to make that much of a difference. Honestly, 34. Yeah, I mean, your thoughts? Should they go after Boyan? Throw a number one?
Well, I was reading an article today from the NBA Central, and it was from the Detroit Free Press that said that the Pistons actually view Bogdanovich as part of their core moving forward.
Of course, they're gonna say that, my friend.
Yes, exactly. So I don't think that's the case. I'm with Gerald. We both called this. Somebody's going to bite and offer a first for him. It's going to happen. It takes a sucker to catch a sucker. Always remember that. That's one of the 48 laws of power. It takes a sucker to catch a sucker.
Once again, it's the Lakers fast break. The Lakers, unfortunately, do fall with a terrible fourth quarter, 121-104. One of the things I wanted to ask you guys before we head on out tonight is Rui Hachimura. And again, a lot of people out there, we need to give him like 7-10 games look-see before we decide whether or not what our opinions are and whatnot. But I really think that, tonight was not a good look for him. It's not just the missed shots, the missed free throws. To me, it's about the fact that he does not play a very unselfish game of basketball. Several times you could see the balls given to him, and there are individuals open in the Lakers offense, whether in transition or in the half court, and just did not. He doesn't even look, doesn't even bother looking, and it's just going to go ahead and find his own shot. Joe, Sean, as I did within playback, we talked about it, you and I. But Joe, I want to hear your thoughts on Rui. When you see a player that, like you said, he's okay. If he's going to be selfish, he better go ahead and get you a lot as far as off the bench or productivity wise. Even when he was starting tonight, he just didn't get it done. And again, that's that mindset is kind of concerning as far as good team basketball is concerned.
Sorry, go ahead, Sean. I'll let you go first.
I thought Joe was first, so
okay, I'll go first.
My bad.
So I see phases of good team play throughout the game, but like we discussed at the beginning of the show, there's this bipolarness, Jekyll and Hyde focus, and Darvin Ham can't seem to wrangle that in. Like, that's the kind of game where I would remember if Rui was being selfish, that's the part in the game where Phil would call a timeout, come up, put his hands on his waist and go, he'd be in your ass. And there's not enough of that. You got to wake up some of these guys. These guys, some of them do want to get coached. And the defense is the same thing. They were playing really good defense in the third quarter.
You know what the problem is? Joe? I'll tell you what the problem is. All right? The problem today is that there is a system in place in which men, and I mean men, want to be able to discipline their guys their way, the way they know it needs to be done. And it just doesn't happen that way. And let me tell you why that is. It's because of two reasons. One, a lot of these men are young men, and without a lot of life experience, they whine and they moan. Oh, I didn't like the way he talked to me. And management ends up hammering coaches who don't deserve the hammer. But in an otherwise situation, it has to be done.
So let me ask you this. What about an older player when they do the same thing? Chris Paul.
Usually when that look what happened the last time that really spiraled out of control. What happened with Allen Iverson? Sat his ass down and they sent him home. It usually doesn't happen with an older player like that. It's the culture, Gerald. It really is. It's the culture we live in, and the pacification of these young men and their feelings, rather than dealing with the reality of life that, sometimes you're going to have to do things that you don't want to do, but that's part of the job. That's what you signed up for. Nobody put any emphasis on you not performing your job. You decided to walk in and do it voluntarily. So there are expectations and there are responsibilities that come with that when you sign your name and you volunteer to do a job. Am I wrong, Mr. Soro?
No, you're not wrong. And the only way to solve this problem is taking their money away. So if you want an immediate answer to how do you scare these guys into playing when they're supposed to, is once that new deal is done in 2025, the owners are going to have to get together with Adam Silver and go, all right, guys, I just spent $4 billion on the Phoenix Suns. Ballmer spent $2 billion on a team that was only worth $700 million. I want my guys playing. and I want it guaranteed that they're going to play when they're supposed to play. If you're injured, you're injured. We've seen injured players in our lifetime. You know when they're injured. They roll an ankle. They go for a shot. Their shoulder hurts. Now we're getting ready to form our days in the morning. We're getting ready. Okay, cool. I'm going to go to work at 9. I'm going to be home by 5. Game starts at 6:30. Cool. All right. Then all of a sudden 2 swings by and I get an alert on my phone and it says LeBron, AD, whomever, Durant, Ben Simmons is out for tonight's game due to lower leg. I was going to go another way with this, but I'm just going to keep it at that. Lower waist issues.
Pop is the original sin here.
They do this in baseball, right?
Pop is the apple of this.
They do this in baseball, right? We've accepted it in baseball. Why? Why did we accept it in baseball? I don't know. However, you also have 25 players on a baseball team, okay? And in the NBA, you are a star-studded league. Your starters, your 1 or 2 starters are the attraction. And when you don't have that, and you don't have that player that actually makes a difference, it changes the whole team. It does. Team doesn't play as well, obviously. And more than that is,
sorry, Joe. It's like if you went to a play on Broadway and you wanted to see the actors, performers in their original roles, and 2 of them get replaced by their replacements. That's what that's like.
Yeah.
Everybody is disappointed immediately.
So the ticket sales on that, let's just say Matthew Broderick, and I can't remember who the other guy was for the producers. I always remember him from the Birdcage.
Nathan Lane.
Nathan Lane. So Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick, probably the greatest theater producer actors ever. No one's likely going to argue that, right? Okay. You're about to go. That's a good example, by the way, Sean. So you're about to go, hey, man, I'm in New York. I just traveled from California. I'm going to go see the producers. I love Matthew Broderick. He's Ferris Bueller, Nathan Lane, Birdcage. Love him, right? All of a sudden you got, obviously they're going to bring nobody. So let's say they bring in Bruce Campbell, who I like, and I don't know. Give me an
David
actor.
Caruso. How about
there you
David
go.
Caruso?
Yeah, okay.
David Caruso. Okay. I like both those guys. I like David Caruso in CSI Miami. Okay. What happens then? Do you get a cheaper ticket? Do they refund you the money? Hey, you know what? This is a second tier casting. Bruce Campbell, David Caruso. We're going to knock down that $150 that you spent down to $70. Okay. Thank you. No, not going to do that. The NBA's not going to do that. Did that poor guy at the Brooklyn game, did they get discounted their tickets? Because I'll tell you what, when I go to the theater and the movie sucks, they'll give me my money back. When you go to the theater, like an Edwards or a Regal, if you go in there and you're like, hey, man, I saw Geely and my God, this was trash. I want my money back if you guys want me to come back. Yeah, here. I've never done that, by the way, ever, because I'm too embarrassed to do that, which is weird because I don't get embarrassed by things, but I just feel like that's a weird, like, hey, I just ate all your food. It reminds me of that Fast Time at Ridgemont High scene where the guy ate all his food and said, hey, this food sucked, and I'm like, if you're going to leave that theater, you got to leave like within the first 10 minutes or something. Then at that point, you're like, hey, I'll take $10 out of the 15 since I watched the first 10 minutes. But the quality of the games in January matter to me because I watch the games, but they don't give a crap. They don't give a crap about Sean. They don't give a crap about Gerald. All they care about is us yapping about it for an hour and 10 minutes afterwards because they know we're watching all their stupid car commercials and their Viagra commercials, which I don't even need either one. So I I don't know. I'm baffled at this point. Gerald, back to you, Gerald.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it indeed. It's the Lakers fast break. Do you have any questions for us? I'm sure you probably have plenty after that. But if you have any questions or comments for us, always Lakers fast break wherever you get your social media. You're gonna see Sean, the Magic Man, trending on social media right there for you. TikTok, Instagram, and a new short right there for you on YouTube. So go ahead and subscribe today to get the latest notifications when we go live on the air or when we drop something real special right there for you at Lakers Fast Break. Joe, how many games are left? So Joe is going to calculate 31 games left. So how many can we say if LeBron and AD stay somewhat healthy for the rest of the way? How many do you think they're going to sit out? 5 more?
I'll predict 16 and 15 the rest of the way.
And that's not going to get it done. No, that'll leave the Lakers 4 games under 500.
It's January 30th, at 8:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm predicting the Lakers will finish the last 31 games 16 and 15.
And don't ask him to go ahead and put money on it.
That's based off of the fact of what they've been doing the first 51 of those games.
Well, what's really interesting, and it's not being talked about at all, and maybe it doesn't warrant much talk because they're going to do it anyway. But if the Lakers finish exactly where they are, then the Pelicans have a decision to make. Because if the Lakers pick is in the top 3, then New Orleans has some decision to make because they already have a lottery pick in Zion Williamson. They are going to have to pay Daniels at some point. They already have Brandon Ingram. Now, not to dispute anything, if the Lakers hold on,
I'll take those problems.
Yeah, if the Lakers are in the lottery, they swap the pick. But again, the issue is not being talked about enough that this team eventually, as their NFL team has shown with the same ownership, eventually becomes cash strapped, and they at times mismanage their assets. And all I'm saying is that if we do finish where Joe Soro says we're going to finish, that would slot us like around the 7th pick. So if that's the case, then you're not getting Victor Wembanyama, Gerald. You're getting a pretty good player, but you're not getting Victor Wembanyama, and you're going to have to likely pay that lottery pick a max contract.
Well, that's something that we've talked about, Ruggs, several times on this show. It's not just about the Lakers where they're finishing up and things of that nature. Can they make the playoffs? But how bad of a if they don't make the playoffs, how far up, how little of a chance can they get as far as up the food chain with the percentage of not getting Victor Wembanyama? If they get to 13th or 14th, just inside the lottery, where you don't have that great of a selection as compared to other, choices, let's say in the top 5, whatnot, in what is predominantly thought of as a good draft. I think that the Lakers do need to start thinking about that, because if the Lakers consistently lose on the regular basis, and Joe said it, with what's upcoming, with 31 games left, you need to go ahead and make sure that you do what you can to try and give your team the best chance to win. So make some moves now, do what you can, but make sure you at least, if you're going to finish out the playoffs, at least finish as strong as you can, because there's no incentive for you to lose at this point in time.
No, we've talked about this ad nauseum. Yeah, there is no incentive to lose. There is no incentive to lose. There's no reason to understand why today happened, because if one of the two of them played, the outcome would have been different. Now, we could play woulda, coulda, shoulda all day, but the fact remains is that we talked about this, Gerald. It's foolhardy to think that because I sit out today, I'm going to feel better tomorrow. And that's going to mean I'm going to feel better in 2 weeks. That's great, but it doesn't necessarily translate to wins. There's no correlation to causation where you see a player rest and then the next week or 10 days his team goes on some kind of obscene winning streak. There's no relation to the two. But they'll use the oh well, we're saving them for the stretch drive, the long run. Well, you know what? When you're almost at 30 games lost before the All-Star game, you're at your stretch run. You've reached your stretch run at that point because you can't afford more than a handful of losses and maybe a couple more after that. But because in all likelihood, you probably need to get to at least 44 wins if you want inside the top 6. So that would mean that in 31 games, the Lakers would have to go 21-10. Is it doable? Sure. I'm just not convinced. I don't see that happening from a defensive point of view. Offensively, I think they could win 21 games. I just don't think defensively they can win 21 games with the team they have right now.
Well, Hassan, the goal is always the championship for every team in the NBA. How they get there is different on how they go ahead and
we're
pursue
not
that
one
goal.
move away. We're 3 moves away right now. One move, 2 moves, 3 moves.
2 to 3, but your guys have to play. There's only one team I've ever seen in my life that could turn it on. Meaning Kobe was out for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. He comes back. They don't freaking lose a game for 4 months. Those days, that it was an anomaly of anomaly. You will never see that. It happened twice in back-to-back seasons. And it's because of those reasons that Shaq didn't win more MVPs and there wasn't enough of a regular season kind of, they didn't care. They did not care, even though they still won 56 and 58 games in 01 and 02. They didn't care. They knew they were that good. Well, you had the modern-day Wilt Chamberlain and I know it's not technically modern because Jordan was still playing around that time, but you had the new Jordan all on the same team in their prime. You could get away with that with those two, but you cannot get away with it you've never been able to get away with it since, and you won't. There has to be, especially in today's NBA for sure, with the way how sophisticated scoring is and how teams are just, you give them, the Brooklyn Nets scored 10 points in like 67 seconds today after we were up 7. I mean, it was a blink. It was a blink. We cannot turn it on. Okay? The Lakers have to make 2 and 3 acquisitions, whether it's in 1 trade, 2 trades, or 3 trades, and bring back players that understand their role, that can seamlessly come in, and then you have to have LeBron and AD play the rest of the year. You don't have that. You are going to finish mediocre or less than mediocre like you have. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong that you won't do that. I want to be proven wrong because I want the Lakers to win. But what you've shown me is that you don't value playing and winning. Play and win. What difference does it make? Okay, you get injured and you're done. You're screwed either way. You might as well go out shooting.
I picked the Lakers lower than anybody else, Joe, and I want to be proven wrong more than anybody. I want everybody to go ahead and say, "Oh, you were wrong, Gerald, you're wrong." The problem is, I'm not wrong.
And then
I thought the Lakers would have issues, and they are.
There's this delusion too, and I want to kind of revert, kind of go back to the chip on the shoulder thing. Sean, with all due respect, the chip on the shoulder thing is a lot of times a made up thing in people's heads, especially in sports. And to me, it always cracks me up. I think the last time I went off about something like this was Lamar Jackson in the NFL. There was this just nonstop talk about how no one gave this guy the due and all this, and he ended up winning the MVP. I'm like, hold on a second. You're talking about the guy who was rated one of the best football players coming into college, wins a Heisman Trophy, is a first-round draft pick, and won an MVP, and you're making this stuff up like he's some Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy. I think the delusion in that chip on the shoulder thing, I think that's all kind of just fake stuff to motivate people, themselves.
Joe, have you heard the saying "so hard done by"?
Negative.
Okay, that it's a very Canadian term. It's
I haven't heard of it.
I understand what you're saying, but we'll just have to agree to disagree with that. The sports thing, you're probably right about that. But as far as life's concerned, I remember from A Beautiful Mind, John Nash said, "Yeah, I had a very balanced childhood. My parents made sure I had a chip on both shoulders." So it's a mentality more so than anything else, sir. It's the idea that just because life has taken a giant squat over you doesn't mean that you can't wipe yourself off, get up, and try and do it all over again. That's what having a chip on your shoulder is.
Once again, it's the Lakers fast break. Joe, you heard it, man. You heard it from Sean right there.
It's also another subject that always kind of cracked me up was people's delusion on their upbringing and how you always notice that someone's always trying to prove that they came up hard. They came from some place where they were hardened, right? So one time I got irritated by the discussion and I said something, and this is true too. I said, look, I grew up in a nice town, safe, not a lot of bad stuff, middle class, everything good, and I'll still whoop your ass. So just don't tell me about your upbringing, okay? Enough of this already. I know where you came from, by the way, okay? It wasn't that bad. And I mean, it's just this nonsense, this fakeness, and of course, social media in the last decade and a half has gotten, made that a thing. But the Lakers right now, you can sit there and you can tell me all the chip on the shoulders. They'll win a couple games, and all of a sudden you'll start hearing, "See, guys, see, you didn't believe in us." No. I don't believe in what I'm watching. It's there. You're not showing me. You need to show me. Show me that you guys want to play and win. You're not showing me that. You're not showing me that you don't want to play mistake smart free basketball.
And again, I just like to point out something kind of ironic here. And needs to be pointed out because his name is not brought up enough when we talk about this crap, and it should be. And that's Allen Iverson. Now, at times I get grief for having my number 3 Sixers hoodie on the Lakers fast break, and Gerald has every right to do that. This is his show. Gerald's the judge. He makes the rules, and if he doesn't like it, he's going to say something about it. But I will say this. Since Wilt Chamberlain, there's only been one player who's averaged over 40 minutes a game playing his entire career. That was Allen freaking Iverson. He showed up. Sure, he wasn't the most efficient player. Neither was Kobe, but they both showed up. They both played 40 minutes. They both gave it their all. And that's not talked about enough. Certain guys just happen to understand that you need to make yourself available for the general public. Michael Jordan understood this. Magic Johnson understood this. Larry Bird understood this. For God's sakes, Larry Bird broke his back building his mother a driveway by himself. He broke his back doing that, and he still showed up for the public, even though he should have been retired on a beach somewhere. And a lot of these guys do have issues. Your knee's sore. I get it. Your quad's upset. I get it. Your Achilles is bothering you. All right. But you're taking time off for a mental health day. Do you know how many people working their asses off right now want to take a mental health day? A lot of people. Most people can't afford to take a mental health day off. And Gerald, we're just getting to the point where a lot of this is just coasting. It's just, yeah, I don't feel like it. So why don't you just write something in your notebook and say I can't go tonight? That's what it's coming to. It really makes me mad, man. I love this game. I don't have many passions in life. Basketball is one of them. And slowly but surely is being ethered. It's being ethered. The officiating, the sitting out, the drama. It's just being ethered out of me. It's hard to watch.
It is hard to watch.
I'm done.
You're done. Okay. All right. Joe, any final thoughts? Because Sean's done.
Couldn't have ended it better. I think that's a nice button to the show, and I'm pretty sure that we're going to be seeing AD and LeBron play tomorrow, and we're going to hope that there's a W at the end of the game.
There better be. That's all I say is there better be at MSG tomorrow, because when you take a day off and you don't win, especially after what happened in Boston, how angry they were and how mad that they were and how we thought that might lead to a really angry team coming out tonight. I was hoping to see a lot more.
They were so angry they decided to sacrifice a win. If LeBron and AD play tonight, we win tonight.
Zanger Sign says, that's Sean. I said it. You have all the money and you can have your mental therapy every day while playing. Most people can't afford it. This is true. Most people don't have these things in life that these players do. But you know what? As long as this trend towards load management continues, we're going to have to go through many more days like this. It's just unfortunate when the Lakers don't see the forest from the trees a lot of times, because they're 5 games back right now in the, as far as from 500. Much less the Western Conference, where they still sit in 13th place.
You have 4 teams in the NBA, not conference, 4, 2 in each conference, that are essentially out of the playoffs. That's 26 teams that have a chance at making the playoffs. If you think the trade deadline, this blew up a little bit in Adam Silver's face. He needs to probably go back and look at this again. Yeah, he had good ratings for the play-in, but he destroyed free agency and destroyed the trade deadline, which were the 2 areas he had the NFL beat.
He had an edge.
He had an edge, trading deadline, and definitely free agency. You need to get that back. If you're going to let these guys, because they did all this to stop players from moving teams, right? That was the point, right? You made it worse. You actually made it worse, NBA. You need to fix this problem. Otherwise, we're still going to watch the game and complain about it.
And that's what we do better than anybody else on the best post game that's out there for Lakers coverage, including the best Lakers chat room that's out here at the Lakers Fast Break. Richie says Lakers need to get Stephen Curry. Oh, I'm sure every team would love to say that right about now, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Wish it was, but yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case. But guys, it's been great at 90 minutes. I do want to say a special thank you for everyone that came on the Boston show. That was one of our highest rated shows in quite some time. Truly cannot thank everyone enough for the response to that show. And this one is still very strong as well. Hopefully, it'll be even stronger tomorrow as the Lakers head into MSG, Madison Square Garden, to face off. Well, hopefully, the facial recognition that James Dolan has installed in MSG won't hold them back from getting inside the arena. But if they are allowed in the arena, they'll go ahead and face off against the Knicks. Any thoughts on the game tomorrow? LeBron and AD, with facial recognition and all, they'll be back.
Better win.
Win, and then win some more.
Oh, Mr. DC Fitted wants our quick thoughts on Darvin Ham before we head on out.
Darvin Ham is a rookie coach struggling to harness a fractured roster with two stars that are fractured below the waist.
Well, right now, Ham is just somebody who's just got to learn the ropes. I would have thought he would have come in more prepared, being that he's an assistant coach for so many years. But it's the old adage, when you slide the chair over, when you slide over on the bench, it's a whole different story.
No, there needed to be.
I think he needs a stronger staff. That's what he needs.
He needed not to be the Laker coach. This is the wrong job for him. He needed to go to Sacramento. He needed to go to Orlando. He needed to go to a team where the pressure wasn't on him. He can use what he's learned in the last decade and change and really play and coach relaxed around a bunch of guys that will likely listen to him. This is not the team. This team doesn't really respect Darvin Ham. And Darvin Ham has done some good things. You've seen a better, more fluid offense versus last year with Frank Vogel. And you see some defense there. It's just not consistent, and the guys are not – and he's not really holding anyone accountable except on occasion Russell Westbrook when he's not playing in crunch time. Like, that's probably the one thing I will give him props, is that he has been able to sit Russell Westbrook during those crunch times and not have Russell Westbrook really kind of go off. So it's not the right team for him. The Lakers needed either a guy that was fresh, who had a system that was just going to resonate. Someone who's kind of a McDaniel type in Miami for the Dolphins, like that kind of guy, right? But there really, I don't know if there really was anyone like that. I don't know.
Yeah, but okay, Z's talking about how Wenyen played well on the inside, but what is he doing taking 2 to 3 outside 3-point shots during the game? Your offense has him sitting out in the corner. That's absolutely mind-boggling crazy.
Yeah, your assistant should be letting you know this is a bad idea.
I know what his percentage is as far as for the season. I did look it up, but the guy shoots less than 1 3-pointer game on average. And you and I know Wenyen is not a 3-point shooter. He should be on the inside, what he did early on in that game when he scored, 9 points, 7 to 9 points in a row. That's what he's best at. That's where he needs to be. And the way this team continually finds bad shots in the offense, especially in the half court, is a lot of that has to be due to Ham and the way he sets things up. So these are things that hopefully he'll learn in years down the road, but the Lakers can't be a learning stop for you. They can't be just a stop where, it's a nice first time for you to coach, and then you could go coach better somewhere else. We've got to have someone that can help us coach and win right away.
Yeah, well, putting Rue at center was a bit confusing and an interesting choice, mind you. I get it. He hasn't had the right rotations. Fair enough. Does he overanalyze certain things? Fair enough. Is he not tactful with his timeouts, as Gerald has pointed out? Fair enough. But the problem is we want to give him the benefit of the doubt, like Joe was saying. It's just the tally. like it's heavily favored in the things he's not doing well in right now.
We've seen several times this season where he's gotten out coached, and that's again maybe the inexperience. Again, when you slide over on the bench to the big chair, maybe that's
Well,
why.
I think
You
allowing
don't need to. You everybody can hear you, Sean. You've got the world's
allowing
best
the
mic.
Clippers to jump out to the 20-point lead that they did, and then you allow the Trailblazers to come out and go up 26 on you, and if you come back from that, but Gerald, eventually the dog eventually sprays the hydrant once in a while, but it just seems in the past at least 10 games it looks like Darvin Ham has allowed the Lakers to just go down 20 points like that. And Joe's right, and a lot of other observers are right. A 20-25 point lead isn't what it used to be in the NBA anymore, but it still is when you're in the crypto.com arena and the Lakers don't have any shooting to bail themselves out of that jam. And that's now we were worried about it creeping in. Well, it's crept in, and now it's like taking a bath with us.
Once again, it's the Lakers fast break. The Lakers, unfortunately, do fall tonight, this evening, 121 to 104. They're now, again, 23 and 28, still 13th in the Western Conference. Guys, they need to go ahead and turn things around, and it needs to start right now, tomorrow, at MSG. Any last thoughts, Joe and Sean, before we head on out?
Yeah, you know what, Gerald? I'm just hoping tomorrow they wake up with a refreshed attitude and decide to win the game, maybe play and win the game. That would be perfectly acceptable. Now, the Knicks are not a very good team. They're not a bad team. They're not going to roll over tomorrow. It's not going to be an easy win.
Well, we'll see. Joe, any last thoughts?
I just would hope that LeBron and AD are engaged tomorrow, and the team uses.
That didn't mean the way it sounded, but yeah.
I hope they're focused on winning tomorrow, and I hope that the guys who played tonight took this loss as a wasted opportunity when they had a lot of momentum until they blew it up in their face.
So many wasted opportunities.
But this is the third month we've been doing this.
Yeah.
And we're about to go into the fourth month. I'm over talking about a C- team.
Time is running out.
C-, it's a C- team, and their mindset is probably D plus. The coach is okay. Management has 11 days, 12 days here to do something. Do something that shows that you care about winning this year. And you're talking about a season in the NBA that is about as parodied as I've ever seen it. And if you can somehow catch lightning in a bottle with the right players, it has to include Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverley off this team by February 10th. If that does not happen, you will not make the playoffs this year.
Once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break. Please, if you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe. Do whatever you can to support us. It is greatly appreciated, as we need all the help we can get. It helps us grow into something bigger and much better that we can for you as an ultimate production right here at the Lakers Fast Break. Just so tremendous having you aboard. Thanks so much for watching and listening. We'll be back tomorrow for the playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break live watch party for the Lakers as they head into Madison Square Garden. And then following that is the best Lakers post game that's around right here at the Lakers Fast Break. Zangerstein, Also, as well, Mr. DC Fitted. Of course, everybody else that's out there, Eduardo, Richard, everybody that was a great part of what we were doing tonight. Thank you so much, Richie. Great names in the chat, as always. Howard Hill, great to have you back, sharing your thoughts. Truly appreciate it. Once again, we'll be back tomorrow night. And absolutely, always take care as well. Take care, everyone. Thanks so much for watching this thing, and we'll be back tomorrow right here, hopefully for a win at MSG. Facial recognition aside, I know that Sean and Joe will be banned now after what I heard earlier today, but that's okay. Hopefully the Lakers will be led in MSG for victory right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Facial recognition.